So it's been 3 years since the last time we were here, and I started then with the question I'm going to start with now. Why bother? Why bother? Why bother? Why should we bother doing this? Why do we bother having conferences like this, bringing people together from all across the country so that we can advocate on behalf of people who are experiencing poverty? We slug away every day of our lives with people who are experiencing homelessness, with people who are in and out of jails, with people who are marginally housed, with people who are struggling with crime, and yet the situation seems to be getting worse. So why do we bother? Why do we bother advocating on behalf of those who are poor? I'm not really sure. We've had an election since the last time we got together. We've got a new federal government. We've had 5 federal elections in the 15 years that have passed since we've had our first street level conference. So 5 different federal governments in 15 years, and yet in 15 years the issues are so obviously getting worse and not better. So why bother? No, the stats speak for themselves. Things are getting worse. It's obvious. 300,000 Canadians every single year at some point or other experience homelessness. That's not okay. 5 million Canadians in the run of a year experience poverty. Do you know how many children that is? That's over 700,000, almost 800,000 children experiencing poverty. Touched by poverty in this wealthy country? That's not okay. Do you know we have an 11.7% child poverty rate in this country? That is just not okay. Why do we even bother? Well, speaking of elections, to win an election you have to do a good campaign speech. Well, I'm here to tell you about a campaign speech that's the speech to end all speeches. It trumps all campaign speeches. It's not a speech that was written by a speech writer to earn popularity in the polls. It's not a speech that was written to earn my vote. It's not a speech that even needed my vote. It's not a speech that will win any election, nor would it ever win an election. It's the first speech that Jesus ever gave. It's Jesus' campaign speech, and this is what he said. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoner, and to bring sight to the blind, and to set the oppressed free, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. Now this was a speech of all speeches. This was the speech from the King of Kings, whose politics never change. He has always been and always will be king, no matter who is running what country. This is Jesus' mission, and so therefore it's ours. We only pledge allegiance to this king. We never pledge allegiance to any other king or prime minister or president. We never bend the knee to any other god, any other king but the King of Kings. We can't serve 2 masters. We only serve this king. So in that case, why do we even bother inviting our friends from government, our bureaucratic friends, our MP friends? Why would we even bother inviting them to a conference like this? If our true citizenship truly does lie in the kingdom of God, why would we bother inviting people who run this government to be with us? Well, there's 3 real good reasons. First being, even though we truly are citizens of the kingdom, we do live in Canada, and our friends who are living on the streets, our Aboriginal friends who are being lost and swept up in reserves, our friends who are in jails, they're our Canadian friends. And so therefore we need to be a part of what's going on in Canada. The second reason, which seems obvious, is that MPs and bureaucrats and other government officials are people who are created in the image of God just like everyone else. So they are our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our friends. And so we are called to love all people. MPs are real people with real red blood running through their veins. They go to bed at night just like the rest of us, and they go to the bathroom just like everybody else. Do not go in there. The third reason, the final reason why we would invite MPs and bureaucrats and other government officials to an event like this is because that's a group of people that has power, that can actually affect serious change in this country. This is a group of people that can really advocate and make a national poverty reduction strategy actually happen. This is a group of people that can make a national housing strategy really happen. This is a group of people that can actually change the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to ensure that people who are socially isolated cannot be discriminated against based on their own social condition. And finally, this is a group of people that can make sure that people have a livable wage all across this country. That's why we would invite people from government here. That's why we would come together as a community to advocate for social justice. That's why we're all here tonight. There's been some good books written in the last 3 years by people in this room. Tim Huff and Greg Paul and Eleanor Clitheroe and Al Craig and Tim Dickow all have released books in the last 3 years that are really important and ones that you should read about justice in this country. But as I said last year, and as I'll finish with again tonight, the most important book and the best book out there on poverty is the Bible. The Bible has a whole lot to say about poverty and justice. It has a whole lot to say to us, you and me, about what we should do and how we should behave. But it has 3 things to say that I will leave you with. And one is this: it is our privilege to speak on behalf of those who are poor. It is our right to speak on behalf of those who are poor. And finally, it's our responsibility to speak out on behalf of people who are poor. Let's speak out. Let's be advocates. Let's be people who are seeking a legacy of justice.